What is going on, everybody? It is Hunter here from the Next Step Podcast, here with my trusty Dusty. I was going to say trusty friend, but the trusty Dusty came right off the tongue. Today, guys, we've got a different podcast for you. The last one, we had a little bit of fun. Today, not that we're not going to have fun today.
No.
It's been a rough few weeks, I'm not going to lie. And so, when we first started this podcast, we talked about how there's your ups and downs, right? There's turns that, down the road. And when you're looking to your next step, sometimes you have to make hard decisions. Sometimes you have to do that. And so I think it's important that as we go through this entire thing, know that, look, I'm not perfect. Dusty's not perfect. We're learning, and our goal is to share what we learn with you. And hopefully you can avoid some of our mistakes, and we're going to grow from them as well as we talk through them. I look at this as a documentary, right? We're going to be able to look back on this in a year or two and say, yeah, I remember that time. It sucked, but we did what we had to do. So,
are we going to have like a viewing party? Maybe we'll all gather around.
I don't want to view this one, man.
On the big screen, get some popcorn, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe have Rich make up some pulled pork pizza.
Yeah, we're putting this in the... Oh, man, we just threw down some pulled pork pizza from Rich, and I feel like I got a food coma right now, but the show must go on. All right, so, Dusty, I know I'm going to share a lot here, but please feel free to jump in whenever.
Sure.
Last 2 weeks have been extremely shitty.
To say the least.
To say the least. And I will get as specific as I possibly can. So where do I start? Basically, in the past year, what a great year it's been for everything, for hybrid fitness, right? There's been a lot of growth and expansion. I remember sitting across the table one time with a fellow business owner who was signing up for the gym, and he saw that we had grown and expanded a little bit. But I'm talking like 3-4 years ago. And he said, be careful not to grow too fast. And in my head, about 3 or 4 years ago, 22-year-old Hunter, I'm like, fuck that guy. like I'm going to keep going. But I don't know, a little ego, a little adolescence there. I didn't think, I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to grow and I'm going to do it smart. And that's limited thinking, right? But there was some wisdom there. There was some knowledge. And that's what I want to share today, because we indeed grew too fast in some ways.
Yeah.
So let's unpack that a bit.
I hadn't looked at it like that until you actually said it. So
yeah. So let's unpack that a little bit.
Right.
In the past year, we've opened 2 energy tea, protein shake, kind of like fast food shops. We've moved the gym, and we've grown it. We've grown our team. We've probably tripled, quadrupled our team.
Yep.
And while many things have grown in profitability and revenue, other things have not. And so what has happened is you have all of this new overhead with, yes, some successes, but some things that were losing money. And so the things that are winning in the business are carrying the things that are losing, and then it just comes to like a break even, right? Until it's not breaking even more, until you have a piece of your business that's completely bleeding you and killing you. That's what we've been going through, unfortunately, due to poor decision making, fail to look at numbers and have accurate numbers to predict the future and see it. And when we finally did get that in a row, we realized, wow, if we don't make a change right now,
everything's dead.
Everything's dead. Everything. And so what that led to is having to lay off many of our team that we love so much, that we had personal relationships with, and who were really bought into everything we have here at Elevate and Hybrid, really bought in. And we let them down because of our poor decision making, because, again, of our inability to spend money properly or to not spend money properly. And I take full responsibility for that. But if it wasn't done, then there would be nothing anyways. They wouldn't have jobs anyways. And everything that everybody loves about Hybrid and Elevate, that would happen. So that's why this is not a fun podcast. But let's talk about the lessons that we learned from this so we can avoid something like this in the future. Dusty, I'm hoping you can help guide me through this.
Sure, I'll do my best.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess let's start. What was, what was the initial? What do you think the reason was that we failed? I mean, I know you said we made some mistakes. We didn't account for certain things, but what could you what caused it, and what could you have done better to prepare?
Yeah, of course. So, one thing that caused it was something that I'm historically terrible on, and that's focus, right? Dusty, that's why you're on the team. You run hybrid, right? Because you can focus in on a hybrid, and you get the things done. You're consistent with them. Where I am the opposite. I see shiny objects and I run to them, and I'm like, as Melissa would say, squirrel. Okay, so
you are our little golden retriever.
Yes. So being spread too thin, right? You have a limited amount of resources in time and money, and you have a choice. You can spread those resources thin across multiple avenues, or you can put them all into one or two baskets, and you can make them freaking work and succeed. Mm-hmm. And so what we did was we had so many different projects going on that we weren't able to maybe give, and we haven't been able to give, even though, again, I would say we're better at this, we're not good enough yet to be successful, apparently. Not able to give the things that need focus because we're looking at other things that maybe don't matter as much, or not that they don't matter, but it's not the thing, So that's one reason. Reason two, fail to properly and consistently track data. How much money's coming in, how much is coming out, how much are we making a week or losing a week, right? And then taking a look at how long can we do this if we don't change things, right? So when we finally got our numbers together and we're able to really look at everything, we realized, well, if we don't cut people now, or if we don't cut our expenses, then eventually that too, we had to cut people, then everything's going to fall apart. So that was number two, not keeping score, right?
So initially the one thing that killed one business, or not almost killed one business, it didn't kill the business, but initially set it backwards, was the one thing that actually kind of propelled the other, right?
Yeah.
Interesting enough.
Right. So you had one business, right, where we had, it's more established. We've built a lot of systems, worked really hard on it. And, I'm personally more familiar with, and that's able to succeed. But then the other one that's within the same company did not have the systems in place. And so when you don't have those systems in place, it's like the example or the analogy I would make is, imagine if you don't know how to back squat and then you back squat a bar, right? Like, could you do damage? Like, maybe, but you're probably not going to hurt yourself. Like, at worst, like, you might like get a little tweak in your hip or something, or right? But like, probably with an empty bar, nothing terrible could happen. But then what if you have that same form and you put 225 on? You're going to put a lot of extra stress on your back, and then bad things can happen. And so I would say that there was some analogy to that is exactly like we kind of went full throttle before we had some of the things in place and had clarity on some things. Because, well, one, there's a part of me that's like, we can get through anything. We can figure it out. Like, if I don't know. Two is, I thought we did have systems, and but apparently we didn't. Like, there were some things lacking, or I was just blind to it, or maybe I was so spread thin that I wasn't able to give the full focus to, like, this is more important than I thought. I think that's that.
Yep.
So
I feel like maybe we tried driving a race car before actually learning how to drive.
Yeah, that doesn't end well. So with that, there's other stressful things going on. Like, in the last 2 weeks, Melissa and I, we lost, and and you're very close. You're the uncle to these kiddies who have since passed away. We lost Montgomery to kidney failure, and Houston, unexpectedly, just 2 weeks later, he had a blood clot. He was walking down the stairs, and he kind of like tripped up, and Melissa was like, "What the heck?" And she laid down there with him, and he couldn't move his back legs. And he was breathing heavy, like kind of anxious, couldn't move him. We thought he just like broke his leg. And then she brought him in, and she said, and the doctor said, "I'm sorry, to tell you this, but he's got a blood clot," and his legs went cold. He was in so much pain, and that was just unexpected. So there's that. There's some other things that I'm not going to talk about here. There's like sometimes there's so many things that if things can go bad, like everything went bad in the past 2 weeks.
But we're still here. We're still fighting.
We're still here. And that's where I want to take the rest of this podcast. I think we've talked about some of the things that went wrong, and those things wrong, like we were correcting them.
Yeah.
We've sat down, we've spent hours and lots of energy and time figuring out how do we avoid this again, because we know it just doesn't affect us. It affects other people and people who we care about. And I take it seriously. But this is what will make us great.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call this a failure, because I believe you only fail when you quit, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is just a kind of that step backwards that will eventually allow us to propel forwards a little more. Definitely a learning experience. Definitely an eye-opener, for sure, I think, for both of us. And
yeah,
I think we now have a tight grasp on the, if not the most important things to focus on, definitely some of the top things.
Absolutely. So what will we do different? Okay, like taking a very close look at how much money is leaving, how much money is coming in, and from that, we know what we're on pace for. What do we project based off the history from week 1, week 2, week 3? What do we know is coming in? Taking a look at, where do we need to be to not just get by, but be successful? And how do we set ourselves up with that? What do we have to cut for expenses? How do we need to increase? Set targets. Outside of that, what I want to do and what we are doing is creating within all of the companies, because now there's different branches to it, create a meeting within those companies from the leaders of them, and having accountability behind, what are our cash reserves? What are all the resources we have? Where are we at? So we have multiple people looking at that versus just one person. So there's accountability there that will lead to success. And I think it's important. When this situation came about, there's no room. There is no, and I personally don't think that I did this, but there's no room for ego.
No.
And that's why I'm making this podcast. I want to be transparent, open about it so we can learn about it. I feel like if you have an ego in this, and then I can't communicate with you, or I can't communicate with Rich or the rest of the team because of my ego, and it's hurting, we fail. We lose. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then what happens? Exactly what you don't want to happen. So just be humble, And out of all the things though, what I'm super proud of and grateful for is the people who I'm around, who have supported me emotionally through this. Dusty, you've been right there, help me with whatever I need. I know like you got my back, and when I am normal, like when I would consider myself pretty good under stress in a situation, I did feel flustered because of a lot of things going on at the same time. And so to see you and your calmness in a stressful situation really made a difference for me. Like, it helped me a lot. So I just want to let you know that. I'm grateful for that.
Thanks, bud.
I'm grateful. Oh, sorry.
No, I don't know. Like, to tell you the truth, I'm really not like the calm type, but for some reason, like over the last year, I mean, we've talked about this on the podcast before, but you got me to quit my job. Basically supported my decision to sell the house and just give everything up. Like a year ago, or more than a year ago, whatever, like I would have been freaking out. Like the stress would have been over consuming, but you bring this calmness, this like everything's going to be okay type of feeling, because you don't give up. And as long as you don't give up, shit's going to be fine, right?
Yeah.
So like basically like me supporting you by being, you know, calm, supportive and whatnot in such a stressful time is actually a reflection of what you have taught me. So thank yourself, because those lessons, that shit is stuff that you've taught me. I'm just giving it back to you when you need it.
Well, that's nice of you. I appreciate you, man. I mean, that's cool. And it's not just you, you know.
No, we have a great team.
You know, Rich, he's a workhorse. He'll do whatever it takes, you know. He'll do whatever it takes. And knowing that you've got people in your corner who are like, let's figure it out. Who cares? Let's do this. We're not stopping. The entire team, just understanding. My wife, Melissa, fantastic. You know, she's going through a lot. She gets stressed out easy, but she's been able to be calm and be there. And I've never felt alone in some of this. And I think that's the important piece. So I think, you know, if you're ever worried about being in a situation like we are in / have been in, at the end of the day, how can you be prepared for something like that? I think it's having great people around you who really have the same values as you, who love you and who are there to support you no matter what. And however you create that, you know, I mean, that's a whole freaking thing in itself. But I just know I've got great friends, a great team. And without that, I'm not saying I couldn't have made it through, because I don't know, like, I believe myself a lot, maybe I could have. But I tell you, like, I emotionally, I mean, I'm spent now. I don't know how I would be emotionally. It wouldn't be good. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, you can't prepare for this. You know, you can't. Like, you can do your best, but I mean, there's if you haven't been through it, you can't prepare for it. So I think, like you said, having those people, you know, the support, the team, but also having the drive and just the courageousness to do what you need to do and to own your shit. That's one thing you are never afraid to do, is own your shit. And that right there, like, that's over half the battle. Like, you're not pointing fingers. You're not, you know, putting anything on anybody else. You're like, hey, this is all me. And I think maybe that is why you have such a good team around you.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope. I mean, at the end of the day, like, if you're at the head of the ship, like, you have to do that. Like, there's no other choice, or else people see right through it. It's bullshit.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to be around people like that. So yeah, I think that's important for sure.
Yep. So where do we go from here?
Man, I don't know. I just want to say, you know, to the people who this has affected, you know, whether you're listening or whether you're not, me just saying this to myself, like, I'm sorry. I am sorry. But we just had to do it. And so we're going to be better from it, and we'll grow. And Hybrid, Elevate, they're going to go strong. They're going to grow, and they're going to be amazing. But you just have to adapt sometimes. You have to make changes and decisions that are hard. And I'm excited. I'm excited because even though it's like hits you down a little bit, like, you get up and you're way stronger. And the knowledge and then kind of the wisdom that can come from this. Not that I'm all knowing at this point. I'm sure there are other situations, like some things like this are going to happen inevitably. We just want to avoid them. But I know this will make us better in so many ways, and we've already seen that. It's changed how I think very quickly. I don't know if you've got some different perspectives on this, or maybe more of like, you didn't say this, but told you so, Hunter. You didn't. I know you never said that. You never said that.
No, I never even thought it. But I mean, I think it's given me it's kind of taught me like, hey, asshole, talking to myself, not you. Hey, asshole, like, you know, if this is how you feel, like if you envision something going wrong or you feel like it's just not a good move, like speak the fuck up, but do so in a productive way. And, you know, help find a solution to make it work instead of just, you know, sitting back and, you know, inevitably going, told you so when it, you know, when something does go wrong. So I think I can be more hands-on. I can be more helpful. If I, you know, I mean, it would just be my opinion, but, you know, if I see something like a red flag that I think is a red flag, like, well, shit, let's meet, let's talk about it. Let's go through everything and make sure everything makes sense. Like, I feel like we're, both of us, you know, we're pretty open-minded. So if somebody, I mean, I know you told me earlier during our, what'd you say during our workout? You said I was stuck in my ways. but honestly, like, I feel
complete sarcasm.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, I feel like whoever comes up with the best idea, you know, that's going to benefit the greater good of what we're trying to do, then we're going to be like, let's do it. Like, so I just think, again, it comes down to what? Communicating, right? That, I mean, we're always talking about that, be it in business, relationships, whatever it is. Like, communication is key, and the more hands you have in the pot, hands that are, you know, actually worth having in the pot. I mean, just because you have numbers doesn't mean anything. Like, you need to have people that are doing this for the right reasons and that are willing to take the sacrifices, and, you know, be courageous and take those chances. But it just comes down to communicating and, you know, hey, Hunter, I don't feel like this is a good idea. Numbers don't add up. Like, let's sit down and talk about it. So that's kind of what I've learned from it is, not me personally, is just to, you know, instead of letting you do your thing thinking it's not going to work, well, maybe I should just communicate why I don't think it is going to work. And you know, possibly it may have came down to me not wanting to step on toes. Like, hey, I'm the new guy. I came in a year ago. Like, I don't know shit about business. You've been doing this for a long time. So, like, maybe it's me just trying to not, you know, step on toes. But I think now I feel like I have the confidence where, you know, I'm able to bring something to the table and that you would consider it, you know, a useful conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's huge, you know, communication. And it's easier said than done.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. I think in this scenario, a lot of what happened was completely avoidable. Yep. I think we look back, hindsight 2020, and we see the things that we did wrong, you know, and we've reflected on that. And I think we were aware of some of those things. We knew, yep. But we didn't associate doing those things wrong with pain. It was kind of a slippery slope. Yeah. You know, you do this and you're spreading yourself too thin. All right, like, it's not bad. You know, it's you know, maybe we're doing that. You don't see a drastic bad thing happen when you do it, you know, but it slowly eats away. And then when we got clarity on the situation, it just all fell out. And so, it's like, there were some times where, like, I knew, like, oh man, like, I should change up some of these actions or whatnot, but didn't really understand, like, what the consequences are. Because, like, you know, when you feel the pain, you're like, oh crap, I'm not doing that again. And I think in this scenario, for whatever reason, it took that to happen for me to really change how I act and change how I see things. It's unfortunate, right? Like,
of course,
that I didn't associate that and have the foresight. In ways I kind of understood, but I didn't think it would be this bad. So I'm learning from this. I'm growing. And this is just my way of talking through it. This is therapy for me. This podcast is as much for me. But I hope that you all listening can get something from it as well. I don't have anything else.
I think maybe just to wrap up, as we've, you know, talked through this on the mics here. Like, I mean, we've talked about it numerous times on here before. Is you know, find the things that you're really, really good at, and just be great at them. I think we spread ourselves too thin, and we didn't necessarily take our own advice. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing that I can come away, take away from this rather, is, what are we really, really good at, and just double down on that shit. Like, let's stop trying to reinvent the wheel, and just keep building on the foundation that has been proven for us, and
is very successful.
Yeah.
When we do it. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it takes things like these to build real growth. I think personal growth, and growth as a team as well. So I think it brought everybody a lot closer, which I think
absolutely.
I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing that we can do, for the people, that unfortunately, lost their positions, is we have to grow from this. We have to justify those decisions by growing, and then eventually, turning this into just the beast that we envisioned. So I think that's the best thing we can do for them.
Yeah.
I really do.
I agree. Yeah. They had to make the sacrifice for this to keep going.
Yep.
At the end of the day.
Yep. If we don't, it's all for nothing, right?
Yeah. So we will do that.
We're gonna do our damnedest, dude. This one was good. A little deep, a little serious, but we're not clowns all the time. we have hearts.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Speaking of hearts, man, I honestly I'm heartbroken over the cats, man.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Dude, and I don't want to like bring it up again, but like big Houston. I think he had a broken heart, man.
He may have.
Like, he just had a broken heart when his brother died.
I don't know. It can't be a coincidence. Like, maybe, I mean, Houston didn't appear to care too much when he was around, but you'd think he did secretly.
He was all heart, man.
He was all heart and all belly.
That guy was all heart and stomach.
And Monty, just the biggest hugger. Sweetest cat. He'd crawl up on you on your shoulders that night and give you the biggest hug. Oh, he's just a sweetheart. He was a good cat, and he was so friendly with everybody. He'd always greet you at the door. But there is good news. We got a new kitten.
Pee-pee.
Penelope. Pee-pee.
Little peeps.
I call her Pee-pee Platter.
She's adorable.
She is. She's cool. She's a kitten, but she's super friendly. She's like more on the Monty end for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we've got her around, and I'm glad that Penelope got to meet Houston.
Yep.
It was weird because Houston was actually like playing more, and he was more lively than normal. I think she was bringing out his inner kitten.
She brought out the best in him.
Yeah,
for sure.
But unfortunately, his cardio is not great, and it gave him blood clot.
Moral of the story:
Poor guy.
Are you trying to tell me I need to do more cardio?
Dude, you probably should. I mean, I care about you and all. So
anyway, I just wanted to make sure they got their day in the sun here. Those guys were great.
They were very well.
So anyway, I feel like it's a good place to sign off. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Nothing.
No. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Let us know if this was something that you learned from, or you learned anything from, or if you just hated it. I feel like us opening up every once in a while is pretty good. I know this was mostly Hunter. I'm here for moral support mostly. But anyway, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Hopefully next week we'll get back to that spunky, positive riffraff that you're all used to. So, if you haven't, subscribe. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Leave us a review. Tell us what you like. Tell us if you hated us. I don't really care. Just knowing that somebody's out there warms my heart. So anyway.
I'm leaving a review right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get this dusty guy off the mic.
All right, guys. Until next time. Thank you.